equally under the law. The people who had their land taken away in 48 till today, or had suffered any of the consequences of the 70-year atrocity, must be compensated and given reparations. And I think that we need to have a new model that's sustainable, because the old models created escalatory violence for 70 years. And for saying that, I've been called a capo.
Hold on. Do you believe the state of Israel should exist?
Not in its current form, no.
So in what form? And then you have
the reason they call me a traitor.
To you what form?
And what? It doesn't matter, bro.
A secular state. So basically, hold on, Buttercup. Under this hypothetical secular state, would there be a birthright for every Jew on the face of the earth?
No, there would be a non-discriminatory immigration policy that applies to everybody.
Okay,
there you go.
Okay, no, shut up. Here's the thing. We are 14-15 million Palestinians, overwhelmingly Muslim. What if we, Palestinians, decided we want to build an Islamic state? So we're going to now have to get the opinion of our occupiers. Oh, you're Jews. Would you like to live under our Palestinian Islamic state?
Wait, no, not all Palestinians want an Islamic state.
Bro, I said if we decided on it. That's none of our business. It's our choice.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if you take into consideration...
So this is a challenge, Prince. I agree it's a challenge.
I prefer the Algerian model. Do you know what the Algerian model is? Every single motherfucker, and they settled in Algeria for way longer than they did in Palestine. Every single motherfucker who came on a fucking boat and took other people's lives should get the fuck out.
Okay, thank you for sharing your perspective. Some people.
By the way, the Algerians also kicked out the Algerians who cooperated with the French.
Yeah, that's
the collaborators.
That's
like you would kick out, like under your model, you would kick out the Druze as well.
That's our decision to make, bro. That's our decision to make, not you, not the Zionists.
So
I think it's perfectly understandable, like why what this gentleman named Prince is offended, right? Because both of you are valid for feeling the ways you feel. Like if I was Buttercup, and I identified as a Jew, that was my identity, then yes, I would support the thing, the concepts that support my people, and the notion of a Jewish state is one of them.
No other Jews have.
No, but she doesn't support a Jewish state.
State is probably going to be Arab majority, just demographically.
Wait. Hold on.
She supports Jews taking my land.
Hold on. Let me
reparations.
Fuck your reparation. Take your reparation and take your people and get out.
Okay,
Wait,
I wish I could, but I can't. Sorry, Prince. I don't know what to tell you.
Wait, so you don't support a Jewish state? You guys...
I support a new model. It's something else. I think it might be Jewish in character because of all the holy sites and all the history there. But I think we're going to have a secular government that allows everyone the right to vote. And the reason Jews oppose this binational state is for demographic reasons. They feel they'll be outnumbered, and they'll establish exactly what Prince was describing, sort of an Islamic caliphate, which would enforce their type of government, and they also fear genocide. Both sides fear the other one's going to genocide them, or going to ethnically cleanse them, and both of their fears are justified, by the way, because both sides have elements that have threatened to genocide and ethnically cleanse the other side. So what we have the big problem is that both sides have a deep fear of being ethnically cleansed, and both of those fears are valid. And so that's why most people, I'm kind of on the fringe, most people, right, left, and center, think that we should have two states side by side, because they think they're just going to kill each other and we can't trust them to be side by side. But I'm an outlier, and that's why the Jews think I'm a traitor, because I'm going to get them genocided, and the Palestinians see me as a traitor because I'm going to get them genocided. And so I just have a fringe view, and so I'm a monster apparently.
By the way, it's not that fringe. I've always been a one-stater. I don't think the two-state solution works.
Yeah, I think at best, this is a fantasy. At best, because the Jews, based on what I'm observing, I don't speak for Jews, but the Jews, they seem to be in love with themselves. They seem to be in love with their culture, and they're being socially engineered by the state to. I don't know.
Socially engineered? I don't know what that means.
No, that's actually true.
Look.
Wait, just like Buttercup, you were talking about how you grew up with like the Jewish education.
Yeah. I get what you're
in
saying.
The camps and the whatnot. That's social engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that struck a nerve think people should be in love with
Both
themselves.
sides are socially engineered to hate the other, to be honest. Like, let's be real about this situation.
Yeah, but one is a little bit more vindicated than the other.
Vindicated? What do you mean? The Palestinians because they got genocided?
Yes.
Well, before they
I
got
think
genocided and they taught them to invade and terrorize the Jews, then they were not vindicated?
No, but when in '48 or even before that,
No,
since the Balfour Declaration, there's a legitimate fear of being genocided or ethnically cleansed, which did happen.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
I mean, the Jews, they essentially, I don't know why I'm hearing an echo. Is there some sort of
No,
recording?
it's not. No. Oh, there might be a recording. Those two people that say anon in the audience, they're probably recording, but I'm not recording.
Oh, that's cool. The Jews effectively started this, decade-long conflict. Effectively, any nation, and maybe you can prove me wrong. Maybe you're familiar with, an aspect of history that I'm not. But based on what I understand, there's no nation that has ever existed that has just willingly, given away land and just allowed people to establish countries for themselves. Okay, countries are born out of conflict, plain and simple, because whatever nation you're having to answer to that you want to secede from, they're going to be in disagreement with your secession. That was true for the Mormons in America, right? And, I don't see why it'd be any different for Jews living in British Mandate Palestine. The Palestinians, they see it as their land, right? They are the majority on the land. And here you are saying that I'm going to incorporate territory and form my own country. I'm going to carve out a piece of property on your land and
Yeah, we all know the story.
declare it my own.
Yeah.
I seen, all of the Arabs in the neighborhood deciding to attack what essentially is a foreign presence because, most of these people were fleeing from all parts of Europe.
Yeah,
because
we're all
of,
familiar with the history. We don't need to recap it.
Anti-Semitism. No doubt, but I will anyway.
It's wasting our time, honestly. Like, it's hard to have a conversation if we're going to recap the whole history every time.
Find that impatience for the Jews in your room.
I'm very
Find that
impatient for the Jews, trust
in
me.
your room. No doubt. I'm not seeing it, though. In any case, when it comes to, those Jews starting that state in that territory, I don't see the Arabs as distinct in their human behavior for attacking them. It's, nature taking its course. You try to start a state in my country, some separate country, and that means war.
Yeah, we understand.
It's been true for every country since the beginning of history.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you
doubt.
for expressing your view.
Oh, pleasure was mine.
Almos's room is open. If you want a more peaceful room, Houdini, Almos, the peacekeeper, coexistence, kibbutznik is open to his room. You can go over there if you want a different vibe. But here we fight each other. Which is more fun. Welcome back, Noah.
Yeah, what's up?
So Noah, I'm getting tried as a Zionist apparently, which is
You're
fine.
getting-
I'll take it.
You're getting tried?
Yeah, Prince.
Tried and convicted.
There is also
Prince launched some pretty lengthy.
You're very controversial here on this app. I'm not gonna lie, Buttercup.
I know.
Buttercup.
Everybody thinks you're on the mission, like you're up to something.
I'm getting paid by the other side.
and
I bet your messages and back channels are they going crazy, Buttercup?
Especially with BB, yeah.
Not so bad.
But but people would make up stories about you, like BB, for example.
Oh yeah, he pretends he boomed all my rooms, right? He goes around telling people that he's booming my rooms, like this is a grown man. This is a man in his 50s.
I don't know. I don't think he's a grown man. Actually, he crashes out. He loses his shit. I don't think a man loses his shit that quickly. Not gonna lie. And screams like, bro, are you a bit insecure about your testosterone or what?
It's the Buttercup. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I got nothing but love and respect for you. I see your vision. You're like a revolutionary on this app, and I support you. I support you.
Chuck.
Did you pay for your mom?
Thanks, Chucky.
He's saying that to you because he's running for presidency, so he wants to get.
Chucky for president.
Chucky, are you a part of the Buttercup Army?
Oh, bro.
I am. I'm a part of the Buttercup militia, man. I dedicate my life to protect her safety and her freedom of speech, man. No matter how many times people attack her, I'm gonna forever stand up for her.
You take a bullet?
Yeah, I'll take a bullet in the jugular for her.
Have you guys ever heard of John Mearsheimer?
Yes, we all know him. He's like the guy. He's an academic that talks about. You wrote the Israel Lobby, right? Like the AIPAC book.
Yeah, he wrote a 26-page paper in 2006, and you guys can read it for yourselves. I won't go through it, but I read it and I was like, wow.
I think most people in this room have read it or know of it or familiar.
You would have thought, he was in 2025. Like, it's literally, it's damn near, it looks like a blueprint.
What is it called?
It's the Israel Lobby and United States Foreign Policy, I think. It's by John Mearsheimer. This dude, by the way, right? Let's just take this into account. He's not like the janitor at the White House or like the valet. This guy worked directly under Bill Clinton, and he was like a professor at Chicago University. And of course, when he comes out with this paper, the labels, they just start coming up. Oh my God, anti-Semitism. And I don't know, something's up. Something's definitely up.
Do you think the United States, right, is Christian country, predominantly Christian country? Is it a military strategic alliance with Israel, or is it a religious alliance?
Do I think? Say that again. Sorry.
Is it more of a military strategic alliance with Israel, or more of a religious alliance?
Why the political Christian right aligns itself with Israel?
Yeah.
It's a more. I mean, I've heard different versions, but I think for most of them, it has to do with their end of times predictions, right? Like their end of days prophecies.
Okay.
Where like all the Jews congregate in Israel and die somehow. I don't know exactly how it plays out.
I think that Israel perhaps started as a practical military ally, because at the time at the time of Israel's inception, I think the Soviets had a lot of influence in the region, and the Israelis effectively assisted in undermining Soviet influence in that part of the world. But as far as the religious aspect of the conversation is concerned, I see religion being leveraged against the American public to essentially bamboozle folks into supporting things like the G word. I think we got to say it. You're a Christian, you believe in Christ. Well, Christ was a Jew, and you should support such and such Christian beliefs.
Sorry to cut you off, but I do want to move. I think I'm exhausted, and Almost has a very different vibe that I think we should support. And I'm moving over to his room. So Almost, we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, we'll continue that talk with you.
About like talking right now. Some people out there, okay?
choices. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow you as your shadow, unshakable. Look how he abused me and beat me, how he threw me down and robbed me. Live with such thoughts, and you live in hate. Look how he abused me and beat me, how he threw me down and robbed me. Abandon such thoughts, and live in love. In this world, hate never yet dispelled hate. Only love dispels hate. This is the law, ancient and inexhaustible. You too shall pass away. Knowing this, how can you quarrel? How easily the wind overturns a frail tree. Seek happiness in the senses, indulge in food and sleep, and you will be uprooted. The wind cannot overturn a mountain. Temptation cannot touch the man who is awake, strong and humble, who masters himself and minds the law. If a man's thoughts are muddy, if he is reckless and full of deceit, how can he wear the yellow robe? Whoever is master of his own nature, bright, clear, and true, he may indeed wear the yellow robe. Mistaking the false for the true, and the true for the false, you overlook the heart and fill yourself with desire. See the false as false, the true as true. Look into your heart. Follow your nature. An unreflecting mind is a poor roof. Passion, like the rain, floods the house. But if the roof is strong, it is shelter. Whoever follows impure thoughts suffers in this world and the next. In both worlds he suffers, and how greatly, when he sees the wrong he has done. But whoever follows the law is joyful here and joyful there. In both worlds he rejoices, and how greatly, when he sees the good he has done. For great is the harvest in this world, and greater still in the next. However many holy words you read, however many you speak, what good will they do you if you do not act upon them? Are you a shepherd who counts another man's sheep, never sharing the way? Read as few words as you like, and speak fewer, but act upon the law. Give up the old ways, passion, enmity, folly. Know the truth, and find peace. Share the way. Wakefulness. Wakefulness is the way to life. The fool sleeps as if he were already dead, but the master is awake, and he lives forever. He watches. He is clear. How happy he is, for he sees that wakefulness is life. How happy he is, following the path of the awakened. With great perseverance he meditates, seeking freedom and happiness. So, awake, reflect, watch, work with care and attention. Live in the way, and the light will grow in you. By watching and working, the master makes for himself an island which the flood cannot overwhelm. The fool is careless, but the master guards his watching. It is his most precious treasure. He never gives in to desire. He meditates. And in the strength of his resolve, he discovers true happiness. He overcomes desire And from the tower of wisdom, he looks down with dispassion upon the sorrowing crowd. From the mountaintop, he looks down on those who live close to the ground. Mindful among the mindless, awake while others dream, swift as the racehorse, he outstrips the field. By watching, Indra became king of the gods. How wise to watch, how foolish to sleep. The beggar who guards his mind and fears the waywardness of his thoughts burns through every bond with the fire of his vigilance. The beggar who guards his mind and fears his own confusion cannot fall. He has found the way to peace. Mind. As the fletcher whittles and makes straight his arrows, so the master directs his straying thoughts. Like a fish out of water, stranded on the shore, thoughts thrash and quiver, for how can they shake off desire? They tremble, they are unsteady, they wander at their will. It is good to control them, and to master them brings happiness. But how subtle they are, how elusive. The task is to quieten them, and by ruling them to find happiness. With single-mindedness, the master quells his thoughts. He ends their wandering. Seated in the cave of the heart, he finds freedom. How can a troubled mind understand the way? If a man is disturbed, he will never be filled with knowledge. An untroubled mind, no longer seeking to consider what is right and what is wrong, a mind beyond judgments, watches and understands. Know that the body is a fragile jar, and make a castle of your mind. In every trial, let understanding fight for you to defend what you have won. For soon the body is discarded. Then what does it feel? A useless log of wood. It lies on the ground. Then what does it know? Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own thoughts unguarded. But once mastered, no one can help you as much, not even your father or your mother. Flowers. Who shall conquer this world and the world of death with all its gods? Who shall discover the shining way of the law? You shall, even as the man who seeks flowers finds the most beautiful, the rarest. Understand that the body is merely the foam of a wave, a shadow of a shadow. Snap the flower arrows of desire, and then, unseen, escape the king of death, and travel on. Death overtakes the man who gathers flowers, when with distracted mind and thirsty senses, he searches vainly for happiness in the pleasures of the world. Death fetches him away as a flood carries off a sleeping village. Death overcomes him when, with distracted mind and thirsty senses, he gathers flowers. He will never have his fill of the pleasures of the world. The bee gathers nectar from the flower without marring its beauty or perfume. So let the master settle and wander. Look to your own faults, what you have done or left undone. Overlook the faults of others. Like a lovely flower, bright but scentless, are the fine but empty words of the man who does not mean what he says. Like a lovely flower, bright and fragrant, are the fine and truthful words of the man who means what he says. Like garlands woven from a heap of flowers, fashion from your life as many good deeds. The perfume of sandalwood, rosebay, or jasmine cannot travel against the wind, but the fragrance of virtue travels even against the wind as far as the ends of the world. How much finer is the fragrance of virtue than of sandalwood, rose bay, of the blue lotus, or jasmine? The fragrance of sandalwood and rose bay does not travel far, but the fragrance of virtue rises to the heavens. Desire never crosses the path of virtuous and wakeful men. Their brightness sets them free. How sweetly the lotus grows in the litter of the wayside. Its pure fragrance delights the heart. Follow the awakened, and from among the blind, the light of your wisdom will shine out purely. The Fool.
With IXL, not only does Charlie get extra math practice and guidance, but he's also able to explore other topics and skills he's interested in. There's an endless number of skills that match exactly what my kids are working on in class right now. And with so many...
How long the night to the watchman? How long the road to the weary traveler? How long the wandering of many lives to the fool who misses the way? If the traveler cannot find master or friend to go with him, let him travel on alone rather than with a fool for company. My children, my wealth, so the fool troubles himself. But how has he children or wealth? He is not even his own master. The fool, who knows he is a fool, is that much wiser. The fool who thinks he is wise is a fool indeed. Does the spoon taste the soup? A fool may live all his life in the company of a master and still miss the way. The tongue tastes the soup. If you are awake in the presence of a master, one moment will show you the way. The fool is his own enemy. The mischief he does is his undoing. How bitterly he suffers. Why do what you will regret? Why bring tears upon yourself? Do only what you do not regret, and fill yourself with joy. For a while, the fool's mischief tastes sweet, sweet as honey. But in the end it turns bitter, and how bitterly he suffers. For months the fool may fast, eating from the tip of a grass blade. Still, he is not worth a penny beside the master whose food is the way. Fresh milk takes time to sour, so a fool's mischief takes time to catch up with him. Like the embers of a fire, it smolders within him. Whatever a fool learns, it only makes him duller. Knowledge cleaves his head, but then he wants recognition. A place before other people, a place only other people. Let them know my work, let everyone look to me for direction. Such are his desires, such is his swelling pride. One way leads to wealth and fame, the other to the end of the way. Not for recognition, but follow the awakened and set yourself free. The wise man. The wise man tells you where you have fallen and where you yet may fall. Invaluable secrets. Follow him. Follow the way. Let him chasten and teach you and keep you from mischief. The world may hate him, but good men love him. Do not look for bad company or live with men who do not care. Find friends who love the truth. Drink deeply. Live in serenity and joy. The wise man delights in the truth and follows the law of the awakened. The farmer channels water to his land. The fletcher whittles his arrows, and the carpenter turns his wood. So the wise man directs his mind. The wind cannot shake a mountain. Neither praise nor blame moves the wise man. He is clarity. Hearing the truth, he is like a lake, pure and tranquil and deep. Want nothing. Where there is desire, say nothing. Happiness or sorrow, whatever befalls you, walk on, untouched, unattached. Do not ask for family or power or wealth, either for yourself or for another. Can a wise man wish to rise unjustly? Few cross over the river. Most are stranded on this side. On the river bank, they run up and down. But the wise man, following the way, crosses over beyond the reach of death. He leaves the dark way for the way of light. He leaves his home, seeking happiness on the hard road. Freed from desire, freed from possessions, free from the dark places of the heart, free from attachment and appetite, following the 7 lights of awakening, and rejoicing greatly in his freedom. In this world, the wise man becomes himself a light, pure, shining, free. The Master. At the end of the way, the Master finds freedom from desire and sorrow, freedom without bounds. Those who awaken never rest in one place. Like swans they rise and leave the lake. On the air they rise and fly an invisible course, gathering nothing, storing nothing. Their food is knowledge. They live upon emptiness. They have seen how to break free. Who can follow them? Only the Master. Such is his purity. Like a bird, he rises on the limitless air and flies an invisible course. He wishes for nothing. His food is knowledge. He lives upon emptiness. He has broken free. He is the charioteer. He has tamed his horses, pride, and the senses. Even the gods admire him. Yielding like the earth, joyous and clear like the lake, still the stone at the door, he is free from life and death. His thoughts are still. His words are still. His work is stillness. He sees his freedom and is free. The Master surrenders his beliefs. He sees beyond the end and the beginning. He cuts all ties. He gives up all his desires. He resists all temptations. And
What?
he rises.
I know, right?
And wherever he lives, in the city or the country,
What?
in the valley or in the hills, there is great joy. Even in the empty forest, he finds joy, because he wants nothing. The thousands. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word
Wow.
that brings peace.
Oh,
Better than 1,000 hollow verses is one verse
excellent.
that brings peace. Better than 100 hollow lines is one line of the law bringing peace. It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Then the victory is yours. It cannot be taken from you, not by angels or by demons, heaven or hell.
Here we go again. It's nacho night, with a side of gas and diarrhea.
Sound familiar? Any of these digestive issues?
Better than 100 years of worship, better than 1,000 offerings, better than giving up 1,000 worldly ways in order to win merit. Better even than tending in the forest a sacred flame for 100 years is one moment's reverence for the man who has conquered himself. To revere such a man, a master old in virtue and holiness, is to have victory over life itself and beauty, strength and happiness. Better than 100 years of mischief is one day spent in contemplation. Better than 100 years of ignorance is one day spent in reflection. Better than 100 years of idleness is one day spent in determination. Better to live one day wondering how all things arise and pass away. Better to live 1 hour seeing the one life beyond the way. Better to live one moment in the moment of the way beyond the way.
There you go.
Mischief. Be quick to do good. If you are slow, the mind delighting in mischief will catch you. Turn away from mischief again and again. Turn away before sorrow befalls you. Set your heart on doing good. Do it over and over again, and you will be filled with joy. A fool is happy until his mischief turns against him, and a good man may suffer until his goodness flowers. Do not make light of your failings, saying, "What are they to me?" A jug fills drop by drop, so the fool becomes brimful of folly. Do not belittle your virtue, saying they are nothing. A jug fills drop by drop, so the wise man becomes brimful of virtue. As the rich merchant with few servants shuns a dangerous road, and the man who loves life shuns poison, beware the dangers of folly and mischief. For an unwounded hand may handle poison, the innocent come to no harm. But as dust thrown against the wind, mischief is blown back in the face of the fool who wrongs the pure and harmless. Some are reborn in hell, some in this world, the good in heaven, but the pure are not reborn. Nowhere. Not in the sky, nor in the midst of the sea, nor deep in the mountains can you hide from your own mischief. Not in the sky, nor in the midst of the ocean, nor deep in the mountains, nowhere can you hide from your own death. Violence. All beings tremble before violence. All fear death. All love life. See yourself in others. Then whom can you hurt? What harm can you do? He who seeks happiness by hurting those who seek happiness will never find happiness. For your brother is like you. He wants to be happy. Never harm him, and when you leave this life, you too will find happiness. Never speak harsh words, for they will rebound upon you. Angry words hurt, and the hurt rebounds. Like a broken gong, be still, be silent. Know the stillness of freedom, where there is no more striving. Like herdsmen driving their cows into the fields, old age and death will drive you before them. But the fool in his mischief forgets, and he lights the fire wherein one day he must burn. He who harms the harmless or hurts the innocent, 10 times shall he fall, into torment or infirmity, injury or disease or madness, persecution or fearful accusation, loss of family,
Wow,
loss of
excellent.
fortune. Fire from heaven shall strike his house, and when his body has been struck down, he shall rise in hell. He who goes naked with matted hair, mud bespattered, who fasts and sleeps on the ground and smears his body with ashes, and sits in endless meditation, so long as he is not free from doubts, he will not find freedom. But he who lives purely and self-assured, in quietness and virtue, who is without harm or hurt or blame, even if he wears fine clothes, so long as he also has faith, he is a true seeker. A noble horse rarely feels the touch of the whip. Who is there in this world as blameless? Then, a noble horse, smart under the whip, burn and be swift, believe, meditate, see, be harmless, be blameless, awake to the law, and from all sorrow free yourself. The farmer channels water to his land, the fletcher whittles his arrows, the carpenter turns his wood, and the wise man masters himself. Old age. The world is on fire, and are you laughing? You are deep in the dark. Will you not ask for light? For behold your body, a painted puppet, a toy, jointed and sick, and full of false imaginings, a shadow that shifts and fades. How frail it is, frail and pestilent. It sickens, festers, and dies. Like every living thing, in the end, it sickens and dies. Behold these whitened bones, the hollow shells and husks of a dying summer, and are you laughing? You are a house of bones, flesh and blood for plaster. Pride lives in you, and hypocrisy, decay, and death. The glorious chariots of kings shatter, so also the body turns to dust. But the spirit of purity is changeless, and so the pure instruct the pure. The ignorant man is an ox. He grows in size, not in wisdom. Vainly I sought the builder of my house through countless lives. I could not find him. How hard it is to tread life after life. But now I see you, O builder, and never again shall you build my house. I have snapped the rafters, split the ridgepole, and beaten out desire, and now my mind is free. There are no fish in the lake. The long-legged cranes stand in the water. Sad is the man who in his youth lived loosely and squandered his fortune. Sad as a broken bow, and sadly is he sighing after all that has arisen and has passed away. Yourself. Love yourself and watch, today, tomorrow, always. First, establish yourself in the way, then teach, and so defeat sorrow. To straighten the crooked, you must first do a harder thing, straighten yourself. You are your only master. Who else? Subdue yourself and discover your master. Willfully you have fed your own mischief. Soon it will crush you as the diamond crushes stone. By your own folly you will be brought as low as your worst enemy wishes. So the creeper chokes the tree. How hard it is to serve yourself. How easy to lose yourself in mischief and folly. The kashta reed dies when it bears fruit. So the fool, scorning the teachings of the awakened, spurning those who follow the law, perishes when his folly flowers. Mischief is yours, sorrow is yours, but virtue also is yours, and purity. You are the source of all purity and all impurity. No one purifies another. Never neglect your work for another's, however great his need. Your work is to discover your work, and then, with all your heart, to give yourself to it.
I was making so much money with DoorDash. I wanted to earn money in my free time, but I didn't want to go out and get a boring 9 to 5. That's when I found out how much money my friend was making with DoorDash. There are opportunities in
The world. Do not live in the world in distraction and false dreams outside the law. Arise and watch. Follow the way joyfully through this world and beyond. Follow the way of virtue. Follow the way joyfully through this world and on beyond. Or consider the world a bubble, a mirage. See the world as it is, and death shall overlook you. Come, consider the world, a painted chariot for kings, a trap for fools. But he who sees goes free. As the moon slips from behind a cloud and shines, so the master comes out from behind his ignorance and shines. This world is in darkness. How few have eyes to see. How few the birds who escape the net and fly to heaven. Swans rise and fly toward the sun. What magic! So do the pure conquer the armies of illusion and rise and fly. If you scoff at heaven and violate the law, if your words are lies, where will your mischief end? The fool laughs at generosity. The miser cannot enter heaven. But the master finds joy in giving, and happiness is his reward. And more, for greater than all the joys of heaven and of earth, greater still than dominion over all the worlds, is the joy of reaching the stream. The man who is awake, he is awake. The victory is his. He has conquered the world. How can he lose the way who is beyond the way? His eye is open. His foot is free. Who can follow after him? The world cannot reclaim him or lead him astray, nor can the poison net of desire hold him. He is awake. The gods watch over him. He is awake and finds joy in the stillness of meditation and in the sweetness of hard it is to be born, hard it is to live, harder still to hear of the way, and hard to rise, follow, and awake. Yet the teaching is simple. Do what is right, be pure. At the end of the way is freedom. Till then, patience. If you wound or grieve another, you have not learned detachment. Offend in neither word nor deed. Eat with moderation. Live in your heart. Seek the highest consciousness. Master yourself according to the law. This is the simple teaching of the awakened. The rain could turn to gold, and still your thirst would not be slaked. Desire is unquenchable, or it ends in tears, even in heaven. He who wishes to awake consumes his desires joyfully. In his fear, a man may shelter in mountains, or in forests, in groves of sacred trees, or in shrines. But how can he hide there from his sorrow? He who shelters in the way and travels with those who follow it comes to see the four great truths concerning sorrow, the beginning of sorrow, the eightfold way, and the end of sorrow. Then, at last, he is safe. He is shaken off sorrow. He is free. The awakened are few and hard to find. Happy is the house where a man awakes. Blessed is his birth. Blessed is the teaching of the way. Blessed is the understanding among those who follow it. And blessed is their determination. And blessed are they who revere the man who awakes and follows the way. They are free from fear. They are free. They have crossed over the river of sorrow. Joy. Live in joy, in love, even among those who hate. Live in joy, in health, even among the afflicted. Live in joy, in peace, even among the troubled. Live in joy without possessions, like the shining ones. The winner sows hatred because the loser suffers. Let go of winning and losing and find joy. There is no fire like passion, no crime like hatred, no sorrow like separation, no sickness like hunger, and no joy like the joy of freedom. Health, contentment, and trust are your greatest possessions, and freedom your greatest joy. Look within. Be still. Free from fear and attachment. Know the sweet joy of the way. How joyful to look upon the awakened and to keep company with the wise. How long the road to the man who travels with a fool, but whoever follows those who follow the way discovers his family and is filled with joy. So then the shining ones, the wise, the awakened, the loving, for they know how to work and forbear. Follow them as the moon follows the path of the stars. Pleasure. Do not let pleasure distract you from meditation, from the way. Free yourself from pleasure and pain, for in craving pleasure or in nursing pain, there is only sorrow. Like nothing, lest you lose it, lest it bring you grief and fear. Go beyond likes and dislikes. From passion and desire, sensuousness and lust, arise grief and fear. Free yourself from attachment. He is pure and sees. He speaks the truth and lives it. He does his own work. So he is admired and loved. With a determined mind and undesiring heart, he longs for freedom. He is called Udam Soto, he who goes upstream. When a traveler at last comes home from a far journey, with what gladness his family and his friends receive him. Even so shall your good deeds welcome you like friends, and with what rejoicing when you pass from this life to the next. Anger. Let go of anger. Let go of pride. When you are bound by nothing, you go beyond sorrow. Anger is like a chariot careering wildly. He who curbs his anger is the true charioteer. Others merely hold the reins. With gentleness, overcome anger. With generosity, overcome meanness. With truth, overcome deceit. Speak the truth. Give whatever you can. Never be angry. These 3 steps will lead you into the presence of the gods. The wise harm no one. They are masters of their bodies, and they go to the boundless country. They go beyond sorrow. Those who seek perfection keep watch by day and night till all desires vanish. Listen, Attila, this is not new. It is an old saying. They blame you for being silent. They blame you when you talk too much and when you talk too little. Whatever you do, they blame you. The world always finds a way to praise and a way to blame. It always has, and it always will. But who dares blame the man whom the wise continually praise, whose life is virtuous and wise, who shines like a coin of pure gold? Even the gods praise him. Even Brahma praises him. Beware of the anger of the body. Master the body. Let it serve truth. Beware of the anger of the mouth. Master your words. Let them serve truth. Beware of the anger of the mind. Master your thoughts. Let them serve truth. The wise have mastered body, word, and mind. They are the true masters.
This is the coolest hat my wife has ever gotten for me. Solar-powered adjustable fans built into the hat. And while it may look a little ridiculous, it's absolutely comfortable. The fan angle is easy to adjust, and the lightweight mesh material keeps your head cool. I love the full brim hat because it protects the back of my neck from sunburn. At first, I was worried the weight of the fans would pull down my hat, but there's actually an adjustable strap that makes it easy to fit.
Impurity. You are as the yellow leaf. The messengers of death are at hand. You are to travel far away. What will you take with you? You are the lamp to lighten the way. Then hurry, hurry. When your light shines without impurity or desire, you will come into the boundless country. Your life is falling away. Death is at hand. Where will you rest on the way? What have you taken with you? You are the lamp to lighten the way. Then hurry, hurry. When your light shines purely, you will not be born, and you will not die. As a silversmith sifts dust from silver, remove your own impurities, little by little. Or, as iron is corroded by rust, your own mischief will consume you. Neglected, the sacred verses rust, for beauty rusts without use, and, unrepaired, the house falls into ruin, and the watch without vigilance fails. In this world and the next, there is impurity and impurity. When a woman lacks dignity, when a man lacks generosity, but the greatest impurity is ignorance. Free yourself from it. Be pure. Life is easy for the man who is without shame. Impudent as a crow, a vicious gossip, vain, meddlesome, dissolute. But life is hard for the man who quietly undertakes the way of perfection with purity, detachment, and vigor. He sees light. If you kill, lie, or steal, commit adultery, or drink, you dig up your own roots. And if you cannot master yourself, the harm you do turns against you. grievously. You may give in the spirit of light, or as you please, but if you care how another man gives or how he withholds, you trouble your quietness endlessly. These envying roots, destroy them and enjoy a lasting quietness. There is no fire like passion. There are no chains like hate. Illusion is a net, desire a rushing river. How easy it is to see your brother's faults, how hard to face your own. You winnow his in the wind like chaff, but yours you hide like a cheat covering up an unlucky throw. Dwelling on your brother's faults multiplies your own. You are far from the end of your journey. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. See how you love whatever keeps you from your journey. But the Tathagatas, they who have gone beyond, have conquered the world. They are free. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. All things arise and pass away, but the awakened awake forever. The just. If you determine your course with force or speed, you miss the way of the law. Quietly consider what is right and what is wrong, receiving all opinions equally, without haste, wisely observe the law. Who is wise, the eloquent or the quiet man? Be quiet and loving and fearless. For the mind talks, but the body knows. Gray hairs do not make a master. A man may grow old in vain. The true master lives in truth, in goodness and restraint, non-violence, moderation, and purity. Fine words or fine features cannot make a master out of a jealous and greedy man. Only when envy and selfishness are rooted out of him may he grow in beauty. A man may shave his head, but if he still lies and neglects his work, if he clings to desire and attachment, how can he follow the way? The true seeker subdues all waywardness. He has submitted his nature to quietness. He is a true seeker, not because he begs, but because he follows the lawful way, holding back nothing, holding to nothing. Beyond good and beyond evil, beyond the body and beyond the mind. Silence cannot make a master out of a fool, but he who weighs only purity in his scales, who sees the nature of the two worlds, he is a master. He harms no living thing. And yet, it is not good conduct that helps you upon the way, nor ritual, nor book learning, nor withdrawal into the self, nor deep meditation. None of these confers mastery or joy. O seeker, rely on nothing until you want nothing. The way. The way is eightfold. There are four truths. All virtue lies in detachment. The master has an open eye. This is the only way to the opening of the eye. Follow it. Outwit desire. Follow it to the end of sorrow. When I pulled out sorrow's shaft, I showed you the way. It is you who must make the effort. The masters only point the way. But if you meditate and follow the law, you will free yourself from desire. Everything arises and passes away. When you see this, you are above sorrow. This is the shining way. Existence is sorrow. Understand and go beyond sorrow. This is the way of brightness. Existence is illusion. Understand, go beyond. This is the way of clarity. You are strong. You are young. It is time to arise. So, arise, lest irresolution and idleness you lose the way. Master your words. Master your thoughts. Never allow your body to do harm. Follow these 3 roads with purity, and you will find yourself upon the one way, the way of wisdom. Sit in the world. Sit in the dark. Sit in meditation. Sit in light. Choose your seat. Let wisdom grow. Cut down the forest, not the tree, for out of the forest comes danger. Cut down the forest, fell desire, and set yourself free. While a man desires a woman, his mind is bound as closely as a calf to its mother. As you would pluck an autumn lily, pluck the arrow of desire. For he who is awake has shown you the way of peace. Give yourself to the journey. Here shall I make my dwelling in the summer and the winter and in the rainy season. So the fool makes his plans, sparing not a thought for his death. Death overtakes the man who, giddy and distracted by the world, cares only for his flocks and his children. Death fetches him away as a flood carries off a sleeping village. His family cannot save him, not his father, nor his sons. Know this. Seek wisdom and purity. Quickly clear the way.
We tried everything, but Charlie still struggled with math. Then another mom recommended IXL, a learning program that really worked for her daughter. We thought, why not? Let's give it a try. With IXL, not only does Charlie get extra math practice and guidance, but he's also able to explore other topics and skills he's interested in. So if you're wondering if IXL is right for your child, I would say don't wait. You'll see a difference right away.
Out of the forest. There is pleasure, and there is bliss. Forgo the first to possess the second. If you are happy at the expense of another man's happiness, you are forever bound. You do not what you should. You do what you should not. You are reckless, and desire grows. But the master is wakeful. He watches his body. In all his actions, he discriminates, and he becomes pure. He is without blame, though once he may have murdered his mother and his father, 2 kings, a kingdom, and all its subjects. Though the kings were holy, and their subjects among the virtuous, yet is he blameless. The followers of the awakened awake, and day and night they watch and meditate upon their master. Forever wakeful, they mind the law. They know their brothers on the way. They understand the mystery of the body. They find joy in all beings. They delight in meditation. It is hard to live in the world, and hard to live out of it. It is hard to be one among many. And for the wanderer, how long is the road wandering through many lives? Let him rest. Let him not suffer. Let him not fall into suffering. If he is a good man, a man of faith, honored and prosperous, wherever he goes, he is welcome. Like the Himalayas, good men shine from afar, but bad men move unseen like arrows in the night. Sit, rest, work, alone with yourself, never weary. On the edge of the forest, live joyfully, without desire. The dark. One man denies the truth, another denies his own actions. Both go into the dark, and in the next world suffer, for they offend truth. Wear the yellow robe, but if you are reckless, you will fall into darkness. If you are reckless, better to swallow molten iron than eat at the table of good folk. If you court another man's wife, you court trouble. Your sleep is broken, you lose your honor, you fall into darkness. You go against the law, you go into the dark. Your pleasures end in fear, and the king's punishment is harsh. But as a blade of grass held awkwardly may cut your hand, so renunciation may lead you into the dark. For if in your renunciation you are reckless and break your word, if your purpose wavers, you will not find light. Do what you have to do, resolutely, with all your heart. The traveler who hesitates only raises dust on the road. It is better to do nothing than to do what is wrong. For whatever you do to yourself. Like a border town well guarded, guard yourself within and without. Let not a single moment pass, lest you fall into darkness. Feel shame only where shame is due. Fear only what is fearful. See evil only in what is evil, lest you mistake the true way and fall into darkness. See what is. See what is not. Follow the true way. Rise. The elephant. I shall endure hard words as the elephant endures the shafts of battle. For many people speak wildly. The tamed elephant goes to battle. The king rides him. The tamed man is the master. He can endure hard words in peace. Better than a mule or the fine horses of Sind or the mighty elephants of war is the man who has mastered himself. Not on their backs can he reach the untrodden country, but only on his own. The mighty elephant Danapalaka is wild when he is in rut, and when bound he will not eat, remembering the elephant grove. The fool is idle, he eats and he rolls in his sleep like a hog in a sty, and he has to live life over again. My own mind used to wander wherever pleasure or desire or lust led it, but now I have it tamed. I guide it as the keeper guides the wild elephant. Awake, be the witness of your thoughts. The elephant hauls himself from the mud. In the same way, drag yourself out of your sloth. If the traveler can find a virtuous and wise companion, let him go with him joyfully and overcome the dangers of the way. But if you cannot find friend or master to go with you, travel on alone, like a king who has given away his kingdom, like an elephant in the forest. Travel on alone, rather than with a fool for company. Do not carry with you your mistakes. Do not carry your cares. Travel on alone, like an elephant in the forest. To have friends in need is sweet, and to share happiness, and to have done something good before leaving this life is sweet, and to let go of sorrow. To be a mother is sweet, and a father. It is sweet to live arduously and to master yourself. Oh, how sweet it is to enjoy life living in honesty and strength. And wisdom is sweet, and freedom. Desire. If you sleep, desire grows in you like a vine in the forest. Like a monkey in the forest, you jump from tree to tree, never finding the fruit. From life to life, never finding peace. If you are filled with desire, your sorrows swell like the grass after the rain. But if you subdue desire, your sorrows fall from you like drops of water from a lotus flower. This is good counsel, and it is for everyone. As the grass is cleared for the fresh root, cut down desire, lest death after death crush you, as a river crushes the helpless reeds. For if the roots hold firm, a felled tree grows up again. If desires are not uprooted, sorrows grow again in you. 36 streams are rushing toward you, desire and pleasure and lust. Play in your imagination with them and they will sweep you away. Powerful streams, they flow everywhere. Strong vine, if you see it spring up, take care. Pull it out by the roots. Pleasure flow everywhere. You float upon them and are carried from life to life. Like a hunted hare you run, the pursuer of desire pursued, harried from life to life. O seeker, give up desire. Shake off your chains. You have come out of the hollow into the clearing. The clearing is empty. Why do you rush back into the hollow? Desire is a hollow, and people say, look, he was free, but now he gives up his freedom. It is not iron that imprisons you, nor rope, nor wood, but the pleasure you take in gold and jewels and sons and wives. Soft fetters, yet they hold you down. Can you snap them? There are those who can, who surrender the world, forsake desire, and follow the way. O slave of desire, float upon the stream. Little spider, stick to your web, or else abandon your sorrows for the way. Abandon yesterday, and tomorrow, and today.
A fun and easy way to make cash. Sign up directly on the app. Choose your own hours. Get paid to deliver on your time. There are opportunities in over 7,000 cities. Keep 100% of your tips. Download the DoorDash driver app and get started today.
Cross over to the farther shore, beyond life and death. Do your thoughts trouble you? Does passion disturb you? Beware of thirstiness, lest your wishes become desires, and desire binds you. Quieten your mind. Reflect. Watch. Nothing binds you. You are free. You are strong. You have come to the end, free from passion and desire. You have stripped the thorns from the stem. This is your last body. You are wise. You are free from desire, and you understand words and the stitching together of words, and you want nothing. Victory is mine, knowledge is mine, and all purity, all surrender. I want nothing. I am free. I found my way. Whom shall I call teacher? The gift of truth is beyond giving, the taste beyond sweetness, the joy beyond joy. The end of desire is the end of sorrow. The fool is his own enemy. Seeking wealth, he destroys himself. Seek rather the other shore. Weeds choke the field. Passion poisons the nature of man, and hatred, illusion, and desire. Honor the man who is without passion, hatred, illusion, and desire. What you give to him will be given back to you, and more. The Seeker. Master your senses. What you taste and smell, what you see, what you hear. In all things, be a master of what you do and say and think. Be free. You are a seeker. Delight in the mastery of your hands and your feet, of your words and your thoughts. Delight in meditation and in solitude. Compose yourself. Be happy. You are a seeker. Hold your tongue. Do not exalt yourself, but lighten the way, for your words are sweet. Follow the truth of the way. Reflect upon it. Make it your own. Live it. It will always sustain you. Do not turn away what is given you, nor reach out for what is given to others, lest you disturb your quietness. Give thanks for what has been given you, however little. Be pure. Never falter. You have no name and no form. Why miss what you do not have? The seeker is not sorry. Love and joyfully follow the way, the quiet way to the happy country. Seeker, empty the boat, lighten the load, passion and desire and hatred, and sail swiftly. There are 5 at the door to turn away, and 5 more, and there are 5 to welcome in. And when 5 have been left stranded on the shore, the seeker is called O Gati Nati, he who has crossed over. Seeker, do not be reckless. Meditate constantly, or you will swallow fire and cry out no more. If you are not wise, how can you steady the mind? If you cannot quieten yourself, what will you ever learn? How will you become free? With a quiet mind, come into that empty house, your heart, and feel the joy of the way beyond the world. Look within, the rising and the falling. What happiness! How sweet to be free! It is the beginning of life, of mastery and patience, of good friends along the way, of a pure and active life. So, live in love. Do your work. Make an end of your sorrows. Or see how the jasmine releases and lets fall its withered flowers. Let fall willfulness and hatred. Are you quiet? Quieten your body. Quieten your mind. You want nothing. Your words are still. You are still. By your own efforts, waken yourself. Watch yourself. And live joyfully. You are the master. You are the refuge. As a merchant breaks in a fine horse, master yourself. How gladly you follow the words of the awakened, how quietly, how surely you approach the happy country, the heart of stillness. However young, the seeker who sets out upon the way shines bright over the world. Like the moon, come out from behind the clouds, shine. The true master. Wanting nothing with all your heart, stop the stream. When the world dissolves, everything becomes clear. Go beyond this way or that way to the farther shore where the world dissolves and everything becomes clear. Beyond this shore and the farther shore, beyond where there is no beginning, no end, without fear, go. Meditate. Live purely. Be quiet. Do your work with mastery. By day the sun shines and the warrior in his armor shines. By night the moon shines and the master shines in meditation. But day and night the man who is awake shines in the radiance of the spirit. The master gives up mischief. He is serene. He leaves everything behind him. He does not take offense and he does not give it. He never returns evil for evil. Alas for the man who raises his hand against another, and even more for him who returns the blow. Resist the pleasures of life and the desire to hurt till sorrows vanish. Never offend by what you think or say or do. Honor the man who is awake and shows you the way. Honor the fire of his sacrifice. Matted hair or family or caste do not make a master, but the truth and goodness with which he is blessed. Your hair is tangled and you sit on a deerskin. What folly when inside you are ragged with lust. The master's clothes are in tatters. His veins stand out. He is wasting away. Alone in the forest, he sits and meditates. A man is not born to mastery. A master is never proud. He does not talk down to others. Owning nothing, he misses nothing. He is not afraid. He does not tremble. Nothing binds him. He is infinitely free. So cut through the strap and the thong and the rope. Loosen the fastenings. Unbolt the doors of sleep and awake. The master endures insults and ill treatment without reacting, for his spirit is an army. He is never angry. He keeps his promises. He never strays. He is determined. This body is my last, he says. Like water on the leaf of a lotus flower, or a mustard seed on the point of a needle, he does not cling, for he has reached the end of sorrow and has laid down his burden. He looks deeply into things and sees their nature. He discriminates and reaches the end of the way. He does not linger with those who have a home, nor with those who stray. Wanting nothing, he travels on alone. He hurts nothing. He never kills. He moves with love among the unloving, with peace and detachment among the hungry and querulous. Like a mustard seed from the point of a needle, hatred has fallen from him, and lust, hypocrisy, and pride. He offends no one, yet he speaks the truth. His words are clear, but never harsh. Whatever is not his, he refuses, good or bad, great or small. He wants nothing from this world and nothing from the next. He is free. Desiring nothing, doubting nothing, beyond judgment and sorrow and the pleasure of the senses, he is moved beyond time. He is pure and free. How clear he is. The moon. He is serene. He shines. For he has traveled life after life the muddy and treacherous road of illusion. He does not tremble or grasp or hesitate. He has found peace. Calmly, he lets go of life, of home, and pleasure, and desire. Nothing of men can hold him. Nothing of the gods can hold him. Nothing in all creation can hold him. Desire has left him, never to return. Sorrow has left him, never to return. He is calm. In him the seed of renewing life has been consumed. He has conquered all the inner worlds. With dispassionate eye he sees everywhere the falling and the uprising. And with great gladness he knows that he has finished. He has woken from his sleep, and the way he has taken is hidden from men, even from spirits and gods, by virtue of his purity. In him there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today. Possessing nothing, wanting nothing, he is full of power. Fearless, wise, exalted, he has vanquished all things. He sees by virtue of his purity. He has come to the end of the way, over the river of his many lives, his many deaths, beyond the sorrow of hell, beyond the great joy of heaven, by virtue of his purity. He has come to the end of the way. All that he had to do, he has done. And now, he is one.
And Afterword, written and read by Jacob Needleman.
Buddhism was born in India. In its beginnings, it conceived of itself not as a new religion, but as a reconstitution of what is essential in the vastness of the Hindu tradition. Taken as a whole, the Hindu religion can be likened to an Olympian armed campaign with great generals dispersed abroad, their huge armies and infinitely variegated weaponry converging upon the enemy, the ego, under some divinely conceived master strategy. Compared to this, Buddhism appears upon the Indian scene as a direct hand-to-hand attack with no holds barred, striking instantly and mercilessly at the enemy's weakest point. By and large, Buddhism has retained this quality of one-pointed practicality, even amid the later flowering of a metaphysics and mythology which, in all of its aspects, rivals the entirety of Hinduism. Put succinctly, the Buddha, who is understood to have lived and taught in the 6th century BC, taught that the principal cause of all human suffering and isolation is the deeply ingrained belief that there is such a thing as a self or ego that persists through time and change. Everything else in Buddhism, its art, philosophy, rituals, and techniques, originated as tools for the destruction of man's illusion that he is a self. This doctrine of no self, or non-Atman, is, as it is said, the diamond which cuts through all errors and confusions of humanity. According to this teaching, everything in human nature is in flux, and a man is nothing but a serial bundle of sensations, thoughts, and feelings, one proceeding from another with nothing to hold them together either in life or death. And not only man, but all things in the universe are without self, without a fixed nature that abides from moment to moment. In the endless and rigorously determined chain of cause and effect that constitutes the universe, we human beings fail by fixing our interest or desire upon one or another phenomenal aggregate, either within ourself or external to ourself. Therein is the root of all our sorrow. What can liberate us is the deep and thorough understanding of all things, including the personality, as causally determined processes of becoming. Consciousness, meaning the totality of thought, feeling, perception, sensation, pleasure, and pain, is not a being, but a passion, not an activity, but only a sequence of reactions in which we, who have no power to be either as or when we will, are fatally involved. Individuality is motivated by and perpetuated by wanting, and the cause of all wanting is ignorance. For we ignore that the objects of our desire can never be possessed in any real sense of the word, ignore that even when we have got what we want, we still want to keep it, and are still in the state of desire. The ignorance meant is of things as they really are, and the consequent attribution of substantiality to what is merely phenomenal, the seeing of self in what is not self. At first glance, this doctrine of no self seems in direct opposition to the Hindu view. But if there is any general view with which the Buddhist doctrine conflicts, it is surely our own Western worldview, as embodied not only in the popular understanding of Judeo-Christian doctrine, but in the goals our whole civilization has set for itself. The religions of the West have imbued us with the idea of an individual eternal soul created by God, also in his way an individual, infinitely precious and irreducibly real. As our modern society drew away from religious doctrine, it substituted for the soul the idea of individual personality, not immortal perhaps, but for that very reason all the more our own and precious. The establishment of our identity, our role, has been the banner cry not only of scientific psychology, but of all the major intellectual movements of modern times, including existentialism and humanism. We measure a person's strength by what we take to be the distinctness and vividness of his individuality, and we all seek to make our mark, either as artists, scientists, or business people. To the Buddhist, all this striving is the pursuit of a phantom. The identity we seek to establish is nothing more than a thought, a picture in the mind of what we are or can be. It is in no wise based on fact. Our sense of persistence and sameness through change is a trick played upon us by the automatic functions of memory, and buttressed by the fact that we are given a name and treated by others as though we were a self. Indeed, our whole society is but a vast collection of sleepwalkers, each addressing the other and conceiving of himself within his own dream of selfhood. All our ideas of morality and obligation, blame and praise are based on this dream and serve only to strengthen the illusion of its reality. Putting the Buddhist doctrine of no self in the above way, its congruence with Hindu thought becomes clearer. We might say that for the Hindu or Brahmanic religion, human ignorance is the ignorance of who we are, of our ultimate divinity, where for Buddhism, it is ignorance of what we are not. We are not this ego. It is in fact the cardinal trait of Buddhism that its teachings are in negative terms. Break down the illusion, the error, and the truth will appear by itself, for it is always there. It is only obscured and hidden by our ignorant beliefs about ourselves and the desires attached thereto. Of all the great religious teachers of the world, none has incarnated and lived the idea that ultimate reality is beyond the grasp of the ordinary mind with more purity and concentration than the Buddha. This in part explains why the Buddha's discourses say nothing about the existence of a supreme being, for example, or about immortality. Such questions tend not to edification, since they are put by the deluded mind, which is quite content to speculate endlessly about these matters, while clinging to the very beliefs which perpetuate its suffering. Its strategy of negation has misled many Westerners into thinking Buddhism is pessimistic and anti-life. Some have even thought of nirvana, the ultimate goal of Buddhist discipline, as a sort of spiritual suicide. Nothing could be further from the truth, and in fact there is no religion which has a higher estimation of human possibility. It is only that it is not spoken of directly and positively. The exalted level of nirvana can be seen indirectly by attending to everything which the Buddhists say it is not. It is not love, consciousness, peace, freedom, happiness, or immortality in any sense that we understand. We are given no words for it because we have no experience of it. And in the absence of a corresponding experience, names merely purchase further illusions. The Gospels, we may recall, also speak of the peace that passeth understanding. We come to the conclusion that just as the great mystics and saints of our own traditions could describe the supreme reality only by negation and analogy, so the Buddhist tells us of nirvana. Since, however, nirvana also designates the whole of reality, then we see why Buddhism also refuses to admit that our ordinary thinking and language can accurately be applied to anything that is real. Thus, reality is also named the void, or emptiness. A final note, especially important when we come to inquire if a genuine Buddhist way can take root on our own soil. Buddhist moral rules are never ends in themselves. It is essential to realize that ethical commandments in the Dhammapada are understood as necessary preliminaries to any greater spiritual development. What is especially valuable about the Dhammapada is that it shows us there is no real separation between true human morality and the process of inner development. The admonitions and insights in this great text resonate on all levels of our search for our authentic humanity. At one stroke, they bring inspiration to our halting everyday efforts to care for our neighbor and guidance in our efforts to look into ourselves for the radiant energy that is traditionally termed the Buddha nature. The Dhammapada presents itself as the actual sayings of Gautama Buddha and was originally compiled for the growing community of Buddhist monks. It was apparently in existence by the time of the Emperor Ashoka in 250 BC and quickly became popular with all schools of Buddhist thought and practice. It is now, no doubt, time for it to speak more universally to the whole of our morally and spiritually hungry modern world.
Does your dog hate bath time? You need to try this. This is our lick mat. We put some peanut butter on there. Look at how sad he is to get in the bath. He is sad, miserable dog. And then once he smells the peanut butter, he is completely fine. He doesn't even know he's getting wet. Got his back wet, and then you get the ears, get on top of the head, his chest and neck, and he doesn't care. And he gets a little treat at the end. We even use it to dry him off and to brush him after the bath. It's literally magic. Lick mats available now. Check them out.
Oh, should have bought Dixie. These weak store brand plates are risky business.
Next time, get Dixie Ultra Plates. 3 times stronger than the leading store brand. Dixie, make it right.
Welcome
to Being in the Way, the Alan Watts podcast, and today we're going to listen to the second talk from the Japan tours, Religion of No Religion. And this was a talk that he gave at Mount Koyasan, and it's a wonderful exploration of Buddhism. And without further ado, here is Alan Watts from Religion of No Religion.
I was discussing last night the Bodhisattva doctrine in Mahayana Buddhism and comparing it or relating it to the two great tendencies in Indian spirituality: anti-worldliness or otherworldliness and world affirmation, and showing how the idea that the highest kind of a Buddha is in a certain way a non-Buddha. The highest kind of a Buddha is like an ordinary person. And this comes out very, very much in various tendencies in Zen, where, for example, all the painting peculiarly characteristic of Zen Buddhism in the Chinese and Japanese tradition is, as it were, secular. It has a peculiarly non-religious atmosphere. That is to say, the painting of Shingon sect and Tendai sect, as you saw it in the museum today, was religious painting. You could tell at once that the subject matter of these paintings is religious. But with Zen painting, the way of dealing with philosophical or spiritual themes is secular. So that when an artist like Sengai, living in the 17th century Japan, paints the Buddha, there is something slightly humorous about the Buddha. He wears his halo over one ear. There is an informality, a slight raffishness. And so this comes from China, from those great Sung artists like Liang Kai, who painted the sixth patriarch of Zen chopping bamboos, looking like the most extraordinarily unkempt country oaf. So, also, the greatest Zen painting has as its subject matter not really religious themes at all. It uses pine branches, rocks, bamboos, grasses, everything of that kind. And you would never know that these things were icons. Likewise also in poetry, which we will go into more extensively in the future. The superb expression of Zen poetry is derived from the Chinese poet Hokoji, who says, "Wondrous action, supernatural power, drawing water, carrying fuel." Now, that poem is a little bit too religious for Zen taste. And so, preferable to that is Basho's famous poem, "The Old Pond, a frog jumps in, plop." Plop is the only possible English translation for the Japanese mizu no otto, which means literally water's sound. Plop. But that poem, you see, is a very high-style Zen poem because it has nothing in it about religion. There is a poem on the edge, which also was written by Basho, which says, when the lightning flashes, how admirable he who does not think life is fleeting. You see, the flash of a lightning is a Buddhist cliche for the transiency of the world. Your life goes by and disappears as fast as a flash of lightning. That becomes a cliche. So, all religion, all religious comments about life eventually become cliches. And that's why religion always is falling apart and becoming a certain kind of going through the motions, a kind of imitation of attitudes, as if one would say, we've got a book called The Imitation of Christ. It's a terrible book. Because everybody who imitates Christ is a kind of a fake Jesus. So in the same way, there's all kinds of imitation Buddhas, not just sitting on altars made of wood and gilded, but just sitting around in monasteries. So one might say then that the highest kind of religious or spiritual attainment has no way, a sign about it that it is religious or that it is spiritual. The metaphor for this, there was used in Buddhism from the very beginning, the idea of the tracks of birds in the sky. They don't leave any tracks. And so the way of the enlightened man is like the track of a bird in the sky. And as one poem, a Chinese poem says, entering the forest, he does not disturb a blade of grass. Entering the water, he does not make a ripple. In other words, there is no sign about him to indicate that he is consciously religious. And this goes too for the fact that his not having any religious sign is also not something contrived. It isn't like Protestant simplicity. You know, all those Catholics with their rituals and how dreadful and insincere that is. But the real reason, you know, Protestants think Catholic ritual is insincere, you know, it's expensive. Protestantism started in the burgher cities of Europe, places like Freiburg, Hamburg, you know, and Geneva, because the merchant class, who were the foundation of the bourgeoisie, got annoyed because every time a Saint's Day came around, all their employees got a day off because it was a holy day and they had to attend Mass. There were so many of these nuisance holy days, and all these contributions that were assessed by the church, buying your way out of purgatory and saying masses for the dead and so on and so forth, they found this not very economical. The priests were getting the money instead of the merchant. And so they decried as unbiblical and irreligious and wasteful all the finery of the Catholic religion and wanted something plain and simple. So it became, in course of time, a sign of being really religious, to avoid rituals, and to avoid colorful clothing and splendor in churches, and to be as ordinary as possible. But that is not yet the real religion of giving no sign of having a religion, because this simplicity and absence of ritual itself becomes a sign, a way of advertising how spiritual you are. So the completely bodhisattva type of person doesn't leave any track, either by being religious overtly or by being non-religious overtly. How will you be neither religious nor non-religious? See, that's the great test. How will you avoid that trap of being one or the other? It's like, are you a theist or are you an atheist? See, the theist is caught by God and the idea of God, the belief in God, but the atheist is equally caught. Because an atheist is very often an atheist because he cannot stand the idea that God is watching him all the time. That there is this constant all-seeing eye prying on your most private life. And that there's this, you know how when you're a child in school and you're writing something or doing arithmetic and the teacher walks around the class and looks over your shoulder. Nobody wants to be watched like that. Even someone who's good at writing or at arithmetic doesn't want somebody looking over their shoulder while they're doing it. It puts you off. It bugs you. So the idea of the Lord God, who is watching us all the time, who is judging everything that we do, puts people off and they can't stand it. So better be an atheist to get rid of teacher. So, but the atheist, you see, the man who advertises his disbelief in God is a very pious person. Nobody believes in God like an atheist. There is no God and I am his prophet. So then, the true bodhisattva state is very difficult to pin down as being neither supremely religious nor blatantly secular. And people who think that the height of Buddhism or the height of Zen is to be perfectly ordinary have still missed the point, like the atheist has missed the point. But for this reason, then, there is an element in the art, the painting, the poetry, etc., which has been inspired by this kind of Buddhism. This kind of art where the subject matter is non-religious. Nevertheless, there is something about the way in which this non-religious subject matter is handled that stops you. And you know there's something strange about it. This is how I first became interested in Oriental philosophy and all that kind of thing. I had an absolute fascination for Chinese and Japanese painting, the secular painting, the landscapes, the treatment of flowers and grasses and bamboos. There was something about it that struck me as astonishing, even though the subject matter was extremely ordinary. And I just, as a child practically, I had to find out what was the strange element in those bamboos and those grasses. I was being, of course, taught by those painters to see grass. But there was something in there that one could never pin down, never put your finger on. And that was this thing that I will call the religion of no religion. The supreme attainment of being a Buddha who can't be detected. Who, in this sense, then leaves no trace. You remember, some of you have seen those 10 paintings called the 10 Stages of Spiritual Ox Herding. And the author, there are two sets of these paintings. There's a heterodox one and an orthodox one. The heterodox one has as the man catches the ox, it gets progressively whiter, until in the end it disappears altogether, and the last picture is an empty circle. But the orthodox set of paintings doesn't end with the empty circle. The empty circle arises 2 from the end, 3 from the end. It is followed by 2 others. After the man has attained the state of emptiness, the state, in other words, of complete iconoclasm, the state of no attachment to any spiritual or psychological or moral crutch, there are 2 more steps One is called Returning to the Origin, which is represented by a tree beside a stream. And the final one called Entering the City with Hands Hanging Down. That means hands giving a handout, as it were, giving bounty. And it shows a picture of the fat Buddha, Putai, or in Japanese known as Hote, who has an enormous belly, big ears, who carries around a colossal bag. And what do you think this bag has in it? Trash. Wonderful trash. Everything that children love. Things that everybody else has thrown away and thought of as valueless. This bum collects and gives it away to children. And so it says here that he goes on his way without following the steps of the ancient sages. His door is closed. That's the door of his house. And no glimpses of his interior life are to be seen. So, in other words, it's like when you erect a building, while you're building it, you have all kinds of scaffolding up. That shows you that building is going on. But when the building is complete, the scaffolding is taken down. To open a door, as they say in Zen, you may need to pick up a brick to knock at the door. But when the door is open, you don't carry the brick inside. To cross the river, you need a boat. But when you've reached the other side, you don't pick up the boat and carry it. So the brick, the boat, the scaffolding, all these things represent some sort of religious technology or method. And in the end, these are all to disappear. So that the saint will not be found in church. I don't take what I say literally. The saint can perfectly readily go to church without being sullied by church. But ordinary people, when they go to church, they come out stinking of religion. There was a great Zen master once, and one of his disciples asked him, "How am I making progress?" He said, "You're all right, but you have a trivial fault." "Well, what is that?" He said, "You have too much Zen." Well, he said, when you're studying Zen, don't you think it's very natural to be talking about it? The master said, "When it's like an ordinary conversation, it is much better." And so another monk who was standing by listening to this exchange said to the master, "Why do you so specially dislike talking about Zen?" And he replied, "Because it turns one's stomach." So what did he mean when he said, when it's like an ordinary everyday conversation, it is somewhat better? When the old master Joshu was asked, at the end of the Kalpa, when everything is destroyed in fire, there will be one thing remaining. What is that? And Joshu replied, "It's windy again this morning." So in Zen, when you're asked a question about religion, you reply in terms of the secular. When you're asked about something secular, you reply in terms of religion. So what is the eternal nature of the self? It's windy again this morning. "Please pass me a knife." The master hands him the knife with the blade first. Says, "Please give me the other end." What would you do with the other end? See, here the disciple starts out with the ordinary. "Please pass me the knife." And suddenly he finds himself involved in a metaphysical problem. But if he starts out with the metaphysical, he's going to get involved with the knife. So, now, to go deeply into the religion of non-religion, we have to understand what you might call the final ultimate attainment of Mahayana Buddhist philosophy, And this is contained in a school of thought which is called in Chinese Hua Yan and in Japanese Kegon. Kegon is the intellectual foundation for Zen. And there was a great Chinese master by the name of Shumitz, who was simultaneously a Zen master and the fifth patriarch of the Huayan sect. Hua, it means flower. Yan, garland. The garland of flowers. And it's all based on a Sanskrit sutra called Avatamsaka. This is called simply in Japanese, Kegon Kyo. A very big sutra. And the subject matter of this sutra are what are called the four Dharma worlds. And I must explain what these four worlds are so that you get the point. First of all, there is a level of being which we will call Ji. The word Ji, which is Japanese way of pronouncing the Chinese Chur, is the world of things and events. What you might call the common sense world, the everyday world that our senses normally record. The word Ji, the character in Chinese, has a multiplicity of meanings because it can mean a thing or an event. It can also mean business. An affair, not in a love affair, but something in the way the French say les affaires, for business. Something important. It can also mean affectation. Putting something on or showing off. And so a person who is a master in Zen is called Buji, which means no business, no affectation, nothing special. The poem says, on Mount Lu there is misty rain, and the river Jiang is at high tide. When you have not been there, your heart is filled with longing. But when you have been there and come back, it was nothing special. Misty rain on Mount Lu, river Jiang at high tide. But this nothing special is not a way of putting something down. Do you see that? I could say, well, it was nothing special. It didn't really amount to anything. That's one way of saying it was very ordinary. Buji, just as it doesn't mean it was very ordinary, in the same way that the person who has no religion is really the most religious. Do you see? He's not just a common, ignorant moron. He looks like one, but he isn't. And you have to know what he knows in order to see that he isn't and to recognize him for what he is. So nothing special, Buji. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't, as we would say, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So the world of Ji then means generally the world of particulars, the world of multiplicity, the world we ordinarily feel we're involved in. So that's the first world. The second world is called the world of Ri. Now, Ri, in Chinese, Li, is, as I explained to you when we were discussing the idea of the law of nature, the character means the markings in jade, or the grain in wood, or the fiber in muscle. But in the Huayan philosophy, the word Ri means the universal, underlying all particulars, the one underlying all multiplicity. the unitive principle as distinct from G, which is the differentiation principle. So, as it were, it's like this. When you see into the nature of this world, you start from G. You start from noticing all the particular things and being baffled by their multiplicity and dealing with the multiplicity of things. But as you go into this, you discover, as you understand things, what do you mean when you understand things? It means you become aware of their relationships to each other, and eventually you see the unity behind them. And it is as if the multiplicity of the world dissolved into unity. And so here you encounter a problem. I can see the world as a unity. I can see the world as a multiplicity. But how the devil am I going to put the two visions together? If I am to be a practical success in business, in family life, and so on, I have to observe the world of particulars. It's particulars that matter. I have to know chalk from cheese. But if I become a saint, a monk, or a hermit, then or even perhaps a poet or an artist, I will forget about the practical matters and contemplate the unity, the secret meaning underlying all events. Because then all those practical people are going to say to me, you're falling down on the job. You've escaped from life. Because they feel that the world of particulars is the real world. But the other guy says, no, your particulars are not real. You make a success of things, yes, but it's completely temporary. You think you're an important person, that you're really contributing to human life. But actually, your success in doing this sort of thing lasts for a few years, and then you fall apart like everybody else does. Where's your success now? When you're dead? What happened to the millions of dollars you made? Where are you? They're all gone. So that isn't real from the standpoint of the person who concentrates on the unity. So then, to perfect our understanding, we have to go to the third of these worlds, which is called Ri Ji Mu Ge. Now, that means between Ri, the unity, and Ji, the particulars, Mu, there is no, Ge, block. That means the world of the universal and the world of particulars are not incompatible. Let's take two very different things and see how they can be united. Take shape and color. Never in a million years can you, with a black pencil that can draw shapes, make red. But if you have red, you can draw a circle. You can draw a red circle, even though the circle shape and the red color will never be the same. Yet red circle, they go beautifully together. So think of circle as G and red as Ri. The circle is the particular, the color is the universal. They go together. So then we might say the properly rounded out person is both spiritual and material, both otherworldly and worldly. This is the supreme attainment of a human being, to be both. Don't get one-sided. A person who is what you might call just a materialist ends up by being very boring. It's, you know, you can live the successful life of the world and you can own every kind of material refinement. You can have the most beautiful home, delicious food, lovely women, marvelous yachts and cars and everything. But if you have no touch of mysticism, it eventually is all perfectly boring. And all those beautiful women turn out to be made of plastic. And you get tired of it. Then on the other hand, there are people who are purely spiritual. And they live in a kind of dry world where all luxury has been scrubbed away. And they are very intense people. When you're in their presence, of a very spiritual person, an excessively spiritual person, you feel inclined to sit on the edge of your chair. You are not at ease, because you know the eye of judgment is looking through you and going down into your very soul and finding that you're just a scallywag after all. And here's this absolutely sincere, this dreadfully honest and unselfish person. Now he is like a wine which has no body. It is pure alcohol, pure spirit. And on the other hand, the materialistic person is like a soft drink, which is all sweet and sugary, but no alcohol. Good drink, you see, like a very marvelous wine, is not alcohol. It has alcohol in it. And it's not poured in, you see. You don't add so much alcohol to grape juice to make wine. The alcohol in a fine wine is part and parcel of the whole substance of the wine. And also, it has its body, it has fragrance, and it has all this grown together. So in exactly the same way, a superior human being has sensuality, that's the body, as in the body of a wine, and spirituality, which is the alcohol, the heady, the intoxicating part. And thus, this is something which is always puzzling to people brought up in a Western environment, because great spiritual people are often very, very sensitive, because they can't be materialists in the ordinary sense. They can't be straight, open sensualists, because for them the world is too wonderful for that. See, they can't go around just, say, picking up anything in a skirt and make love to that, see, because any human being is too marvelous to be treated as just a kind of sexual object. They may be very much a sexual object, but so marvelous, you have to stop with it and really go into the whole of that marvelous, wonderful personality. So there is a trouble. It keeps coming up for the West. When you go to church and you suddenly go to a church where there's a marvelous clergyman, and you think he is the very exemplar of life, and you idealize him, and then suddenly there develops a frightful scandal that he has an affair with his secretary, and you think all is lost, that the faith has been sold out, that everything's going to rack and ruin, because he was not purely spiritual. And he himself may be terribly confused and worried about this, because in our world, you see, we make the spiritual and the material mutually exclusive. But Ri-Ji Mu-Ge, this third world, means that between the spiritual and the material there is no obstruction. So we might say this would sound as if it were the highest level, but there's one more to come, which is called Ji-Ji Mu-Ge. This means then suddenly Ri has disappeared. But between Ji and Ji, there is no obstruction. Between one event and any other event or events, there is no mutual exclusiveness. Shall I put it that way? This is the doctrine the highest doctrine of Mahayana Buddhism, which you could call the doctrine of the mutual interpenetration of all things, or the mutual interdependence of all things. And its symbol is what is called Indra's net that is used in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Imagine at dawn a multidimensional spider's web covered in dew. A vast, vast spider's web that is the whole cosmos, and is not only a kind of a flat thing, but a solid thing, and a solid in 4, 5, 6, and n dimensions, covered with jewels of dew, all of which have rainbow coloring. And every drop of dew contains in it the reflection of every other drop of dew. And since every drop of dew contains the reflections of all the others, each reflected drop of dew contains the reflections, you see, of all the others, and so ad infinitum. Now this is the Mahayana vision of the world, which is to say, this is relativity. That whatever exists in this world and is characterized as something particular, as a thing, as an event, as something or other, you see, as a unit, this does not exist without all other such things and events. So that you might say any one event implies all events. And all events, the total universe, past, present, and future, depends on every single member. In other words, you may say, I can understand that I depend on this whole universe. There could not be me unless there was everything else. It is harder to see the corollary of that the whole universe depends on you. You might say, well, how can that be? Because I come into being, and then I go out of being, and before I was born, I'm sure the universe was here, and after I die, I'm sure it will go on. How can you say then that the whole thing depends on me? Very simply, it depends on supposing you're dead, and we're talking about someone in the past. Let's say we're talking about Socrates. And I'm going to say this whole universe depends on Socrates. I may put it more exactly. It depends on Socrates having existed. You see your parents now. Some of your parents may be alive, but some of your parents may be dead. Without your parents, you would not have come into being. So you depend on your parents, even when your parents have gone. So everything, even when you disappear, the universe will still depend on you, on your having been here. Or if you have not yet arrived, it depends on your going to be here. So we can say, obviously, going back to Socrates, the fact that Socrates existed tells us something about the kind of world we're living in. This world once Socratized. And that Socrates and his wisdom was a symptom of the kind of universe we're living in just the same way as I showed you that an apple is a symptom of a tree. A certain kind of tree tells us something about that tree, what it functions, how it produces things. So a world which produced Socrates, or a world which produced John Doe, who was nobody in particular, and nobody ever remembered him or thought to write his biography. Nevertheless, for all his obscurity, the whole universe depends on him, and it depends equally on every fruit fly, every gnat, every vibration of every gnat's wing, and it depends on every last electron, however brief its manifestation may be. So that what this is saying is that everything that there is implies everything else. And all those other things, collectively, in their totality, which we call the universe, in turn imply each individual object, event, and so on. That's the meaning of Indra's net. So that this is called in Zen to take up a blade of grass and use it as a golden Buddha 16 feet high. When you have a chain and you pick up a link, all the other links come up with it. You see? Because it implies, if this is a link, it is a link in a chain. If it isn't, it's just an oval piece of metal. But if it's a link, out come all other links. So if you are an event, every event, there's no such thing as a single event. The only possible single event is all events whatsoever. That could be regarded as the only possible atom. The only possible single thing is everything. But the things that we call things all imply each other. We know what we are only in relation to what we aren't. We know of the sensation of oneself only in relation to a sensation of something other. So the other goes with the self as the back goes with the front. And your life, however short, everything depends on it. If that did not happen, nothing would happen. So in this sense, the whole world bears your signature. It would not be the same world if it weren't for you. You've heard, haven't you, what is called the pathetic fallacy? This was an idea of the 19th century, which said that it was false, wrong, to project human feelings on the world. The wind in the pine trees is not sighing. It's you who are sighing. The sun is not happy. It's you who are happy when the sun shines. So don't mix up your happiness with the sun. The sun has no feeling. The sun is not human. The wind has no feeling and is not human. The poet says, the moon doth with delight look round her when the heavens are bare. And the logician says, no, the poet looks round with delight at the moon in the bare heavens. How awful. I mean, if that's the point, you see, better not say any poetry, just have prose. But actually the moon does look round with delight when the poet looks round with delight, because the world of which one symptom is the moon is the same world of which another symptom is the poet. They go together. A world where there is a moon implies a world where there is a poet. A world where there is a poet implies a world where there is a moon. So in this sense, the moon can be said to look round with delight through the agency of the poet. Because you can't separate poet and moon. Just as you can't separate head and feet without destroying the unity of the body. So in that sense then, this whole world is a human world. And we should not take the silly attitude or philosophy called the philosophy of the pathetic fallacy, which says outside our skins it's all inhuman and dumb and blind force, And only inside the skin is there the human world. All this world is human because it depends not only on the existence of humanity in general, but on the existence of Mary Smith in particular. So the whole world is covered, as it were, with your personal signature. But at that moment when you suddenly seem to be everything, and to be Mr. A, you know, you suddenly see the obverse of this, that your particular personality is nothing at all without everything else, without everybody else. I need, in order to be Alan Watts, I need every single other human being and the uncontrollable otherness of all those other human beings that I can't do anything about. They're going to be themselves whatever I do. And yet at the same time, I depend on all their difference from me, and yet they all depend, likewise, on me. So that I'm in a very funny position. The moment I would be egoless and say, I'm nothing without you, then suddenly I find I'm the kingpin. They all depend on me. Then suddenly, when I get swelled-headed about being the kingpin, I find I'm nothing at all without them. So everything keeps going bloop, 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 bloop. In other words, the moment you think you've got it in one state, it transforms itself into the other. That's the Gigi Muge. Now, in Gigi Muge, you see, you've got a vision of the world in which everybody is boss and nobody is boss. There is no one boss who governs the whole thing. It takes care of itself. It's a colossal democracy. But yet every man and every uguisu and every snail is king in this world. And at the same time is commoner. And that's how it works. And there is no great king, although in Hinduism they have an idea, a very strange one to us, they're called Ishvara. Ishvara means the supreme personal God, the top being in the Deva world. And many Buddhists believe that there is such a God. There is a ruler of the universe, but he is lower than a Buddha. Because in the course of the endless cycles, Ishvara will dissolve into nothing. All gods, all angels are within the round of being. It's a very curious idea to our minds. And therefore, although Buddhists believe in God in that sense, they don't take it importantly. There are no shrines in Buddhism to Ishvara. So then, it is through Gigi Muge, this idea of the mutual interpenetration and interdependence of all things, that we have the philosophical basis for Zen as a practical, non-intellectual way of life. Because of the realization that the most ordinary event, the charcoal brazier, the mat, soup for dinner, sneezing, washing your hands, going to the bathroom, everything, all these so-called events, separate events, imply the universe. So this is why Zen people will use the ordinary event to demonstrate the cosmic and the metaphysical. Only they don't rationalize it that way. To see infinity in a grain of sand and eternity in an hour is still Riji Muge and not Gigi Muge. muge is when you offer somebody the grain of sand, for God's sake, stop thinking about eternity. Here's just the grain of sand. There is no difference between the grain of sand and eternity. So you don't have to think about eternity as something implied by the grain of sand. The grain of sand is eternity. So in the same way exactly, our sitting here at this moment is not something different from nirvana. We are nirvana as sitting here exactly like this, you see. So you don't have to say any philosophical comment on the grain of sand or on our sitting here. That's called legs on a snake or a beard on a eunuch. You put legs on a snake, you see, and you embarrass the snake in its motion. And a eunuch doesn't need a beard. We would say in our idiom, don't gild the lily. Or Zen would say, don't put frost on top of snow. So all what you might call specifically religious activity is legs on a snake. Eventually, this is going to be eliminated, just as eventually we hope that government will be eliminated and will become unnecessary, because every individual will be self-governing and therefore relate properly to his brother, and the state will vanish. So too, at the same time, the church will vanish. And that's why in the book of Revelation, in the New Testament, it is said that in heaven there is no temple, because the whole place is the temple. So when we achieve the fulfillment of Buddha, there is no Buddha, no temple, no gong, no bell, because the whole world is the sound of the bell. And the image of Buddha is everything you can look at. So a Zen master was asked, mountains and hills, are they not all forms of the body of Buddha? The master replied, yes, they are, but it's a pity to say so.
You've been listening to Alan Watts with The Religion of No Religion. This podcast was co-produced with the Ram Dass Be Here Now podcast network, and our theme music is by Zakir Hussain, courtesy of Moment Records. For further information about the Japan Tour series, visit alanwatts.org, and there you'll find all 8 talks. And today's was The Religion of No Religion.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards, but did you know we print everything you need to get your brand in front of your fans? We print banners and signs that help your business stand out. We print postcards and flyers that get people talking. And we print must-have merch like tote bags, t-shirts, and water bottles. Whether you want a few or a few thousand, we print on everything so that customers can go from noticing your brand to falling in love with it. Right now, new customers can get 20% off with code NEW20. Because if you need it, we print it at Vistaprint.com.
Down syndrome sufferers coping room? What's happening here?
tell you.
If people are sitting in that room and basically co-signing what's being said in Amir's room, you're either terrorist sympathizing or you're part of the. You become part of the problem. Right?
Acts of violence. So, no, we're not doing any acts of violence on here talking about politics, are we? Sure.
So and that's where, and respectfully, I could say when I think that room is actually more dangerous than a terrorist organization. It's like a recruitment camp, and it radicalizes people. In my personal opinion, right?
Yeah, and BB, to your point, in El Normo's first formulation, he actually said terrorist or terrorist sympathizer. So I know it's been contracted now to just terrorists through several iterations, but the original formulation was actually terrorist or terrorist sympathizer.
Just terrorists. You're either that or that, basically. Yeah. I'm neither.
Oh, I'm praying for
You're
you.
Teddy, my good friend, my brother.
if you
What
say
happened
so.
on October 7th, sir? Tell the room.
Oh, and
I completely disagree.
No, I didn't ask you that, sir. BB knows that.
I completely disagree.
What happened, sir?
Are you upset
Sir,
over
here's
the
your big
19th?
chance.
I don't need to tell you the ins and outs of the details. I don't agree with it. Simple as
What
that.
happened?
I don't have to go. It's like 9/11. I don't have to go into the ins and outs details. I disagree with what happened on 9/11. Same as 7th of October. I don't have to give you detail.
Calmly. Teddy, you didn't see. I think maybe Teddy. There may be a cognitive issue. So I'll ask you again. What happened on October 7th?
And killed loads of people.
I beg your pardon?
Went into Israel and killed loads of people.
I can't.